It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
I really wanted a duplex. Like I just really wanted, I was like, hey man, I've done the research. It doesn't make sense to buy a single family home. The single family home I bought at that time was actually, it had a detached garage. And my plan was, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna buy this and I'm gonna convert the detached garage into a rental space. That way I get my 2 units. Unfortunately was unable to do that because of where the garage sat in comparison to the house. But yeah.
Got it. Got
So
it.
so yeah, we got those. We bought those 2 units. Minor fixes. They were in decent shape. We were able to get them both rented in less than 30 days, and we immediately started making money. So we're at
Wow.
4 units at that point.
Got it. Got it. And were those two in El Paso?
Yeah. So we're both in the military, and so our goals always stick together. So we always went overseas, and then we came back there because it was just a place we could both go with ease. It's a place where people aren't fighting to go, right? Everyone wants to go to Hawaii. Everyone wants to go, like Washington. Everybody trying to go to those nice places, and I'm like, hey, can I get to El Paso? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, okay, dummy, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it worked.
Got it. Got it. So at that point, are you working with a property manager? Are you kind of just doing it yourself and paying people to
So at that
do the
point,
different
we're
things?
we're still self-managing. At that point, I'm pretty handy. So at that point, we kind of made the decision like, hey, to get the most of our money, we need to be a little more hands-on. And everything says, don't touch it, pay somebody. But then you look at the, like, you're making a couple $100 here and there, and you're like, I don't want to spend it back right there. It kind of defeats the purpose, right? And so no, at that point, I was doing like most of my maintenance and stuff like that. Everything was a one man show.
Let's spend some time on that. I'm glad that you mentioned that. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you're self-managing, you have another job. You should outsource to a property manager because you should value your time and all those things. What are your thoughts on that? Because you've had both experiences. So tell me about why you choose to self-manage.
Um, I think I did the math one day when a property manager pays for itself. And I think I read the book on managing apartment properties. And what they spoke about is 60 units. When a property manager becomes worthwhile, you have to be at 60 units. So although people say like it's a job and stuff like that, a lot of times, when like I would tell people like I self-manage because like it's easy, right? I put quality tenants in there, so I minimize my calls. I also use a program where I get work orders. Nobody calls my phone in the middle of the night, right? I mean, you could try, but it's not gonna ring, right? So everything is done through the work order process. I look at the work orders and then I determine emergency or not. And I'll be super honest with you. When I started, everything was emergency, right? A pipe broke, we gotta get somebody out there. This happened, we gotta get somebody out there, right? And then I start paying those emergency fees. And so some of the money you're making, it goes right back into like those emergency funds. And you're like, man, now we don't do so many emergencies. A pipe breaks, unfortunately, we're gonna cut the water off. We'll get a plumber for you in the morning. We'll take care of that. Water heater breaks. Hey, I understand what you're saying. We're gonna cut the water off. We're gonna plumber out there in the morning, and you're saving like $1,000 just by doing that. And,
Wow.
and it might be a small inconvenience, but it's not gonna affect the tenant that much.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think it's important to have people on the show who do both, right? Or who have had both experiences. But it's just interesting hearing the different points of view. So I'm glad you shared yours. And you know, quite frankly, in my opinion, unless the property is just a dump, you're probably not gonna get that many calls, if any. I mean, you can
I'm
go
not.
easily go months without getting any calls, right? Especially
I go years without calls.
right,
Like I
especially if the
honestly, like
property's in good shape, you know.
yeah. Yeah. I have a
Um,
property, I tenants have been there 5 years and I haven't gotten one call. And I go and I check them every now and then. Like anything good? And like, oh no, it's minor stuff. Anything, we fix it, and they're older couple. And so like with them, it was actually kind of harder when I had to start raising their rents. Because it's like, man, they never call. But at the same time, they were way under market rents and we had to be realistic. And that's when we switched our model to like, hey, we're gonna be a little higher than everyone else. But yeah, man. Yeah, I believe in self-management. It's worked for me. And I continue to do it.
definitely. Awesome. So how did things continue to grow? So you got those 2 units in a very creative way, which I think people should write down. You took a loan against your retirement plan. It's not professional advice, but it's something you want to consider. And you got those 2 units. And once those were established, like, what were your thoughts then? Did you go using the same method? Did you pick up some other methods of acquiring properties? What happened next?
So we had those 2 units, well, those 4 units at that time. And my realtor calls me about almost exactly a year later, and she says, "Hey, Kevin, I got a deal for you." And I was like, "Oh, what is it?" She says, "A duplex." She's like, "I know you really wanted one. I know I couldn't get one for you, but this is a duplex." And I was like, "Hey, man, it was just like, we just spent a ton of money last year, or we're just trying to recoup." She's like, "I tell you what, it's an off-market deal. Come look at it. If you don't want it, I'll put it on the market. No loss to you." So I said, "Okay." So we go look at it. I immediately fall in love. This thing had screamed distress all over it. It was, unfortunately, a mom had passed away, and her kids were just so in distraught. They could not deal with it, so they just abandoned the house. They hadn't paid taxes on it. They hadn't dealt with it in any kind of way, and so it sat for about like 4 or 5 years. It sat
Wow.
vacant, and it was like, it was just too good to be true for me. That's an unfortunate situation. And I say, I was like, "Man, what do they want for this?" And she's like, "Guess." And I was like, 100, and even at 100, like, I was like, I'll buy it. I'll figure it out, And she says, said, "No, they want 58. I think it was like some odd number. Like, they want 58,000. I said, I looked at my wife. I said, "Hey, we'll take it," And she says, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, we'll take it." She's like, "Yeah," and my wife's on board. And so we pulled some money from our savings. We took a personal loan. I love personal loans, by the way. We took a personal loan, and then we bought it cash. We also took enough to we could rehab it. So we rehabbed it, and I think right now each unit rents for, the 2-bedroom side rents for about 1,100, and with the 1-bedroom rents for about 900. So it does pretty decent. Not bad at all. And I think our payment on that loan was like $600 or something like that. So
Wow.
it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah. What was the after repair value on that property?
Right now, I think at the time it was about 130,000. Right now it's about 190 something thousand. It go like we just had it appraised when I did a cash out. Yeah.
Wow. How much work do you think it needed?
So like, we literally spent about 20,000. At the time I met like the most amazing guy, the AC guy. He was generous. I have like a bubbly personality. People like me. I don't know what it is, but I was getting quotes ridiculous, and this guy shows up and he's like, "What's your budget for AC?" And I said, "For both of them?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, I need for like 7K." And he's like, 7,000? I was like, "Just what I got, And he goes, "I'll do it." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I'll do it for 7K." Dude, that's like my lucky day. So I bought these. He came in, he put the units in, and that gave me AC. That's my biggest individual expense. The next biggest expense was flooring. I did all the paint. At that time, I did all the work myself. I was like a one-man show. I had a buddy, Mark always showed up, and he always helped me, and we were like doing it together. And we turned the first unit, then we rented immediately.
Wow.
Then we went over to the 2-bedroom side. That required a little more work, and then we turned that one, and they rent immediately. Like, they have no problems renting. So super lucky, man.
Are you looking for a community of like-minded individuals and access to experts in real estate?
Yeah.
Are you interested in real estate but need more support and guidance?
You know who it is?
The Black Real Estate Dialogue presents the Real Estate Investing Community. No matter how much or how little real estate experience you have, we've created a community for you because your perspective is important. All right, tell me, where's the #1 place where you can do Q&A with experienced guest speakers 2 times per month? How about unlimited access to past guest speakers' recordings? What about a private Slack channel to engage in daily discussion with everybody in the community to share resources and support each other? Head on over to blackrealestatedialogue.com. That's blackrealestatedialogue.com. It's the real estate investing community presented by the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Come join us today.
I think one of the huge lessons about working in property management is that even though it's called property management, it's really people management, right? You're interacting with people. You have to be gifted with people, period, to work and be successful in this industry. You have to be professional and know your stuff, but you also have to be empathetic and understand how to deliver bad news, right? How to share in people's excitement about moving into a new exciting place. You have to be able to paint the picture. You know, it's not just enough to take somebody into an apartment anymore. There's so much competition out there that people can choose from so much, and everything's expensive. So you have to be the best, most glamorous, most, you know, personalized experience possible so that you can truly sell that apartment.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now you are a general manager for, is it, you say it, I don't want to say it incorrectly. You're a general manager managing.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. So I'm a general manager in retail management. I oversee 3 properties. My main property is a large outdoor shopping mall. We are anchored by a Macy's. We have a locally owned and operated Black-owned um, Dave and Buster's like concept called Party HQ, which is fantastic. Um, and we have just a great diverse mix of both national brands that you recognize, Express, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, things like that, to some fantastic local specialty businesses, small businesses, about 90% of whom are Black owned.
wow.
And I'm very, very proud of that. I'm really proud. As general manager, I have a hand in kind of evaluating who comes in and what concepts we want to see. And it's just one of the most prideful parts of my role, just to be able to give opportunities and welcome in people who are either expanding into their second, third, fourth location, or some who are starting from the bottom and they're opening their first venue, and they're, you know, they need guidance, they need support in opening up and becoming successful.
Definitely. So I have a question about the shopping center. How did the pandemic impact that? How did the pandemic impact like some of the businesses in the shopping center? And of course, how did that impact like the bottom line, the numbers and such? And if there was a lag in certain businesses, do you see a recovery now?
So that's a great question. It's a fair question. I mean, we're still kind of in the thick of it. And so far as we are still in big time recovery mode. My company that I work with now has about 100 properties across the United States. It stretches from here to Hawaii. A number of them are outside malls. Many of them are not quite as large as mine. Maybe I have another colleague in Florida who's got a larger outdoor property, but being an outdoor property during the pandemic helped us. It helped us. I mean, it didn't mean that we were able to miss out on all the effects of COVID, right? Because things were shutting down all around us and people became afraid to come out. And as a manager overseeing large assets, there were so many rules and communication and just so much I had to get out to my internal team, but also to our tenants that we partner with and our customers. I mean, it was just a lot hitting all at once. But I'm happy to say that my mall stayed open.
Wow.
We stayed open through the entire pandemic. Absolutely. And maybe we weren't 100%, right? But we have some pretty large principal stores. Like we have a grocery store that's part of our mix. We have restaurants that had to pivot quickly, and you know, if they closed for a short period, they opened right back up and had to expand their services to serve the community. So we were able to stay open in some capacity throughout the entire pandemic. What I will say is that we learned a whole lot, right? Like my team and I are more resilient now than we ever thought we'd be. You know, while everyone was kind of shifting and having the chance to work from home, I was in the office, you know, plugging away at it just to be that that person, that face that's consistent on property saying, hey, you know, we'll get through this. We can figure it out together. Some businesses did better than others in that. And it was kind of a mixed bag. You know, you might think that a national chain has more wherewithal to sustain through a crisis, right? Like they've got their systems built out and they've got but it was really a mixed bag. I mean, it was national chains that survived and did really well. And there were a lot of our small businesses who were, you know, they've got their owners in there working behind the cash rep and managing the whole operation themselves. And they had more flexibility than they would have if they had teams of 100 that they had to keep up with and, you know, ask to be vaccinated and all of that kind of stuff. So it was just a mixed bag. We did not have very many people or very many companies drop out that didn't survive COVID. There were some national or regional companies that didn't make it across the board, and they had to leave our center.
Yeah.
For the most part, I want to say at least 85-90% of our businesses have survived, and they're in full recovery mode. I mean, we're seeing traffic numbers now, customer foot traffic of more than what it was pre-pandemic. So people are coming back out. Everyone has to be ready.
Hi everyone, Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.